Lords of Creation RPG. This is the BookCase style box set. It's a role-playing adventure game of traveling through time and space. It's from Avalon Hill. Here's a check on the back and the artwork in the front. To give everyone a little bit of a lowdown of what this is, it was published by Avalon Hill, 1983 and 1984. The game was written by Tom Muldvay. His name's not on the front, but he also worked for games like Dungeons & Dragons and Star Frontiers. Lords of Creation was not set in a single genre, but was designed to allow players to play their characters through scenarios in settings varying from fantasy to science fiction to modern espionage. Characters gained powers and skills as they progressed, including magical abilities and high-tech cybernetics. Their progression leads to demigod status, the character becoming a Lord of Creation, with the ability to create their own pocket universe. This game basically broke the fourth wall, encouraging players who had advanced their characters to Lord of Creation status to then, in turn, take the role of gamemaster, refereeing the game in their character's pocket universe. The game came out in a box, and in here it should contain the Rulebook, Book of Foes, historic figures, examples of other Lords of Creation, and dice. 3 adventure modules were published for the game. The Horn of Roland, which we'll open up and take a look what's inside there. It's basically set in a science fiction convention and eventually leads to the Bermuda Triangle. There's another one called the Yeti Sanction, which was set in the 1980s, modern day at the time of the publication, and involved the characters tracking down a kidnapped Secretary of State. But it also came with a GM screen, and the scenario included expanded rules for cars, vehicle modification, vehicle combat, and chases. And then there was one more, the Omegacron, and that was set in the future after a nuclear war in the city of Akron, Ohio. And that module came with a pad of blank character sheets for the game. There was a couple more announced, but I believe those were never released. So, let's start with the original box set. We'll open it up and see what's actually in there. On the back here, contents. 64-page rulebook, 64-page Book of Foes, and all dice required to play the game. My guess is the dice are not in this, but we'll open it up, take a look. Let me look at the artwork on the front. I think that's like classic from the 80s size. Oh, well, they reused it for the books. So this is the rule book. It's not cardstock, it's just regular printed paper. It's Avalon Hill. The index is on the back. 64 pages. Some art, black and white. And probably had a lot of information to try and deal with, to be with so many different ways to play it, because if everything from fantasy to modern needs quite a bit of rulings. And then the Book of Foes. This should be just a good classic monster manual of types. And it talks about all the different kind of creatures in which you could probably encounter, depending on where and what pocket universe that you're going to be playing in. Oh, it's actually done pretty good. There's a actual monster drawing for every creature in here, so that always helps. All right. So there was no dice in there, but dice are pretty much readily available. So now let's take a look at the Horn of Roland. Same art. Oh, we should take a look at the back real quick. The strange little man in gray had been tailing me ever since the convention began. He was getting to be a pest, Stare at him and he'd fade back into the ground. Glance away and he'd come right back. Twice I tried to find out what he was up to, but when I walked over to confront him, he just seemed to disappear, but never really left. He always hovered just out of sight. It was amazing and it was frustrating. The Horn of Roland is Lords of Creation adventure module for newly created player characters. The adventure begins at present-day gaming convention. The characters are faced with a series of bizarre events, including a murder mystery. During the course of their investigation, the characters chance upon stranger and stranger settings until they eventually confront their ultimate adversary. This is but the first adventure, which will lead the characters to fantastic worlds, other dimensions, a remote past, and scientific future. It's also published by Avalon Hill. This is the actual module itself. Well, you have to give them credit. They did put some art and stuff in here, so that's good. So they were trying, especially at that time. Let's see what we have for maps here. So in here it should be the 48-page adventure, which we have right here. And there should be 5 special player aids, including maps of the area and a diagram of the murder scene. So let's take a look. So this is a map. This should be the murder scene. 3, another handout. Looks like a newspaper, and Town Morgan's list of suspects. So perhaps one day I'll be able to find some friends and give this a quick try. It'd be a fun little game to just do a flashback and try one of those games that just didn't last the length of time. All right, so if you're looking for these out in the wild, this is kind of what you're gonna find. Hope this helps somebody out there, and thanks for watching.